Chapter 30. What Lies Beneath. Noah watched them pull away. Lindy was one of the types that might not say it, but carried what she felt right on her face. She trusted him, but she was worried, and he couldn't blame her. There was no solid position right now. He wanted to be with her, but he'd failed at fucking everything, and now this asshole Durand had shown up here to flex. Langley was awake, but it was too soon to tell what that was going to mean. He was annoyed, and it likely showed once Chaos left the property. A cleared throat caused him to turn around. Tin stood there by the club door. He'd been watching them. So this is it, huh? It was getting hot. Noah grabbed one of his wristbands and used it to tie his hair up away from his back. You, the girl, and the baby. From the flatness of his voice, Noah wasn't sure if he was asking or telling him. Either way, he answered. Yeah. You love not listening, don't you? Tin stepped forward. Families complicate things. I realized that. Noah was already irritated at the fact that they had to go. What if the Aztecs had taken you guys out in Vegas? Chaos could have been there to even the odds. I gave you a direct order, and you did what you wanted for her. It was wrong to go against the order, but it was right to protect my wife and kid. You've never had to make a complicated call before? Tin's eyes narrowed. They stood, eyeing each other. And how does being a nomad mix with being a husband and a father? Tin cocked his head. How fair is this going to be when you're gone back to Mexico or wherever after this is done? Noah clenched his jaw. Before he could answer, his phone rang and Chaos was on the other end. Hey, Whisper's heading back your way, man. He threw his hand up. Son of a bitch. I'll have Mrs. C home in a minute. Yeah, thanks. He disconnected the call. Whisper's on his way. Noah wasn't too far from the gate when Whisper rode in on his bike. In the haze of heat that rose up from the ground, Whisper slowed down until he was a few feet away from Noah and stopped. Whisper pulled off his helmet. Good morning, Scorpio. Where the fuck have you been? Whisper's dark, wet hair gleamed in the sun. He pushed some of it back with his hand. Out and about, old friend. Noah held his hips. You said you would meet us back here. You dropped communication. How do you know we didn't need you? Aw, he grinned in response, raising Noah's annoyance. It's nice to be needed. Not a fucking answer. At what point are you going to get over our past? He raised a brow as he walked his bike closer to the front of the clubhouse where Tin was waiting. We were close once. I took you under my wing in Tijuana. You were a lost bird. Living up to his name, he spoke to only he and Noah could hear. The smile that followed made Noah want to punch him. Whisper liked to claim being smug was a part of his charm, and Noah always reminded him he was full of shit. And Whisper's eyes gleamed as he read his demeanor. Anyway, I come bearing gifts. Whisper lifted the hood on his sidecar, a custom he'd done himself to mimic a bullet. A body was inside. A living one. He was tied up and leaning forward, gagged. Shit. Tin's voice was low and gruff. Noah had to laugh shortly, planting his hands on his hips as he looked up from the studded snake on the back of the man's cut. I figured you guys would like a personal chat with a Los Bandidos member. Is everything going to be okay? Lindy asked as they stopped in front of her house. With that man showing up. Whisper? Chaos smiled softly, not looking at her. She knew he wouldn't be completely honest with her about what he was thinking. Yeah, it's all good. Be careful getting back. You guys stay safe, okay? We will be Boy Scouts, Mrs. C. She stared at him. You don't have to lay it on so thick. Chaos sighed, shaking his head. The prettiest girl in town, and Noah had to get to you first? Lindy let out a breath. She glanced back at her kicking baby. Now you are really laying it on thick. Chaos actually seemed to blush. Thank you, she offered. You're actually sweet when you aren't blowing up property. My mom used to say the same thing. Lindy didn't think he was joking until he winked at her. She'd barely been away a day, but she felt strange entering her own home. Munch, we are going to get some fresh clothes ASAP, and we'll get you set to play with some of your toys, okay? Lindy walked into the kitchen and put Max's carrier on the counter. She put her keys down and remembered she had left her bottled water out in the garage. Cursing under her breath for forgetting it, she went to the kitchen side door that connected it and flipped the light switch. Her foot hovered on the step. A striped Mustang was sitting in her garage. Not just any Mustang, though. Pick a car. "Oh, my God," she whispered. "Noah." She covered her eyes for a moment, trying to gather herself, and when she opened them, the car was still there. A loud grunt split the air, then a thud as the Los Bandidos member hit the ground in the middle of the clubhouse. From the looks of his face, he'd gotten on Whisper's bad side and lost before he was tied up. "I followed the car last night when the police led them to the edge of town." Whisper sat down at the bar, pointing to their guest. "A couple towns over, they made a stop. About nine of their crew are holding up at a motel." "That's interesting," Noah said. "This isn't your territory. Why would so many of you be here for a quick drop?" "I had the same question, so I was able to spy on them in their room. Some of the crew were cutting the heroin before delivering it to Mexico." Noah's brow raised. "Do the Aztecs know you were doing that?" Whisper rested his elbows behind him on the bar. "I know for a fact they do not. I didn't stay long enough, but I am sure some of them went back to LA with the rest of the product." "Fuck all of you." For some reason, he was struggling with the ties that held his hands behind his back. Noah knew he didn't really want to get them loose. He started to curse in Spanish. Noah understood all of it. Tin stepped forward. "What do you think Eduardo will do if he finds this out? If you got family, they're dead. And if you don't, you never will." Noah crossed his arms as he peered down at the piece of shit. "We could let you go, but you need to start talking, and you can start by telling us about the Aztecs' deal with the sheriff." "Max," Lindy held her baby in the garage. "Look, isn't it pretty?" She knew he only wanted milk as he started patting down her chest instead of paying attention. Her heart was speeding, wondering how they managed to pull this off. "Mrs. Callis." Lindy felt her stomach tingle at the sound of Noah's voice on the other end of the phone. After getting the baby settled, she had to call him. She smiled before she spoke. "How did you get this car in my garage?" "Trade secret." She stared at it from the door that led to the kitchen. No one had ever given her anything close to this. It almost had her speechless. On a low breath, she spoke. "I remember this car." "Yeah, it was a nice ride." Lindy's face heated at the memory. "It was," she admitted. "I really don't know what to say besides thank you. Max likes it too, I think." "I hope so. Did he see his gift in the back seat?" Not sure what he meant, Lindy walked back over to the car and checked herself. In the back seat was a brand new car seat full of stuffed animals and his toys from her hatchback. Lindy covered her mouth a little bit, swallowing that feeling that was trying to come up over her again. "Not yet," she answered as she silently cleared her throat. "He got a little distracted and now he's taking a nap, but I'll show him when he wakes up." She turned and headed back to the kitchen. "Did that man show up out there? Whisper?" "What?" He sounded surprised. Lindy licked her mouth. "I saw him on my way home with Chaos." There was a mini pause before he answered. "Yeah." She wanted to know more, but doubted he would tell her. "I know it's club business." A noise in the background caught her ear. It sounded like a man groaning. "Were you only calling me about the car, or do you have your new terms?" Lindy wasn't expecting that. She closed the door behind her after entering the kitchen. "The car's a pretty big deal." "Not as big as the terms," he quickly countered. She heard it again, and a loud thud followed. "Noah, is everything okay where you are?" "Yes." Lindy walked with the phone into her bedroom. "I only asked because I worry about you." "I appreciate that." His voice was soft, likely due to being around other people. "Is my car still at the diner?" She sat on the edge of her bed. On her dresser, she saw his rose, but it wasn't in the place she usually had it. "No, we took care of it." All your stuff should be in the back of the new car you're going to drive. Her brows raised as she stood up and went to her dresser. You think I wouldn't accept it? Nothing else on her dresser was out of place, but she opened the closet door to check everything just in case. Her money was in the jar, her wedding dress was fine, and nothing else seemed out of place. Maybe she knocked into her dresser getting ready for work and didn't notice it, so she tried to just brush off the worry that hit her. I figured it was a possibility. Lindy still couldn't believe he'd put a brand new Mustang in her driveway. She'd probably scream if it wouldn't wake up Max. She picked up the rose and turned it in her hand. I'm learning to accept the good things that come into my life. I'm doing the same thing. It's gotta fucking suck to be you right about now. Bleed stared down at the heap of writhing man in the middle of the clubhouse. We work with Mitch, mostly out of Reno. He told us he had a hookup with some cops. They were pinching guys on the state borders, not reporting it, and selling their shit. Noah peered down at the man's patch. Cujo, like the dog? Keeping his cool wasn't easy, especially when he had thought about how they ambushed Lindy while she had Max. The whole crew was a bunch of scumbags. He knelt down to him. Just one phone call, and the Aztecs can find out. What a shitty support club they have. They can't stand you guys. They won't believe you. Noah glanced over at Tin. You really want to take that chance? 'Cause you'd be stupid if you did. Fuck you, Cujo said again. Classy as always. Tin's gruff voice drew Cujo's eyes to him for a moment. We got a mission you're gonna make possible. Noah straightened. We appreciate all the background info. Now you get to make sure your guys stay the hell out of Amber Falls. We know about your little side job offer from the sheriff. You're gonna politely refuse. And if you don't, it's just a matter of time before the Aztecs get you. Or us. Tin used his boot and pressed it into the man's chest. I guess I have to return him to his brethren now, Whisper asked. Yeah, Noah answered, standing back up. He's got work to do. No, not him, Cujo rushed out. Whisper just grinned a little. Why not him? Tin asked. Regla de ocha. No. He shook his head hard. Whisper kept his relaxed position in the chair, watching. A small grin formed on his mouth before he popped some gummy bears into it. Noah stayed quiet. There was no telling what tricks Whisper had pulled on this asshole, whatever helped their agenda. Whisper made his way to the edge of Reno late the same night. He was going to need gas soon. He opened the sidecar and made quick work of dumping Cujo out of it onto the asphalt. The rival gang member swore as his shoulder hit the concrete. I was insulted you didn't want to ride back with me. He raised a brow at the curse-laden response. Whisper crouched down. Listen to me. This isn't the time to think. You're clever. If you backstab us, you won't have to look for the death skulls. Just me. Every place you go, as long as you're breathing, I'll be your personal boogeyman. Whisper smiled long and wide. And you'll be my sacrifice. Hey, sweetie, there's my man. Max seemed to recognize Peggy's voice and looked up from her breasts for a minute before refocusing. Hey, honey, I'm sorry I had to leave on you like that. Peggy, it's okay. I had to bail an old friend out of jail. Lindy's brows rose. Old friend? Yeah, I was wild in my day, and some of the folks I cared about are still wild. On a deep breath, Lindy stepped aside so Peggy could come in. Did you make out okay? I was fine. Mitch wasn't happy, but I still have a job, so... Why's Mitch gonna fire you? He knows damn well no one else is going to put up with his crap. Can I get you a drink? No, baby, I'm fine. How's Vic? She brought Peggy a can of soda anyway, and Peggy gave a half smile. She's Vic. I haven't heard from her in a few days. I'm sure she's taking care of herself. Are you all right? Max. Lindy was losing a battle with her baby, who was ready to eat. She grabbed a blanket off the chair and found a seat, covering herself so he could. She got the bra pad loose, and Max immediately latched on. I'm married. Peggy coughed against the mouth of the soda can. Excuse me, I must have misheard you over the fizz. What? I'm married, Lindy repeated. Peggy offered her a slack-jawed response. Time seemed to freeze her body. Will and you got back together? It was a far-gone conclusion in her mind. No, Lindy shook her head. Peggy leaned forward. You married someone that's not Will? Lindy nodded. I'm waitin'. Spill, girl. His name's Noah. And? He's been very good to me, and he's been good to Max. So he's not from here, then? No. When did this happen? How did you meet him? Peggy, I should have told you earlier. Lindy didn't know what Peggy was thinking as she waited. She was the closest thing she had to a real relative around, and she cared about her opinions, but she didn't know how she'd handle her next words. He's one of the bikers that came to town. Peggy sat back hard in her chair. I met him when he came to the diner early in the morning. It's how we got to know each other. A biker? Lindy, those men aren't the marrying kind. Trust me, I know. I'm not expecting a happily ever after, Peggy. It was the truth, but still there was a little pang in her chest as she said it. It's an arrangement that's working for me right now. An arrangement? He needed a green card, she confessed. The biker needed a green card, so he asked you to marry him? Yes. This is a hell of a secret to keep. Peggy's chest rose and fell with her deep breath. Peggy, I didn't mean to keep anything from you. It all happened so fast. Will doesn't know, does he? Her tone implied she already knew the answer. No, she admitted. Lindy, how are you going to keep being married to another man away from your son's father? It was a fair question. She rubbed Max's leg softly as he nursed. Emotion clogged her throat instead of words. It wasn't long after that Max's eagerness slowed down and that he fell asleep. Give me a sec. Lindy brought him to his room and put him in his crib to nap. When she returned to the living room, she didn't sit down. The plan was for him to never find out. Peggy tilted her head, and her brows looked like half moons. Lindy held up her hand. I asked Noah to keep it a secret. I needed the money. I thought I could keep things simple, but things got more complicated. She rubbed her forehead. Will's not a good man, Peggy. I know I chose to be with him, and... She pursed her lips briefly before parting them again. When she started to speak again, the words kept coming. He has an anger in him. I don't know if it's always been there or if it's just for me. But I'm the one he's never afraid to show it to. Lindy shook her head slowly. He hates me for having Max. He's just this innocent, beautiful baby boy, and his dad hates him for being born. A long, ragged sigh left her. A few months back, we got into an argument, and he knocked me into his squad car. I must have hit pretty hard, and my bra pads started leaking. She had to push through the shame that she felt and repeat to herself that it wasn't her fault. He thought it was funny, and he touched me. Lindy. Peggy stood and rushed her, grabbing her in her arms. Lindy, no. Lindy hugged her back. She said something, but the words were muffled by Lindy's uniform. Their embrace was tight and comforting, causing Lindy to close her eyes. Used to holding on to her pain, Lindy was surprised by the freeness she felt speaking up. Was Peggy crying? She smoothed her hand over the woman's shoulder and kept her close. Lindy had no more tears for Will. The only thing I do know is I'm never letting him hurt me again.